Oh.
Well, I'm just mad because it was literally nothing, and I made it into something.
Reunited.
No. No.
Feels so good.
No. No. No.
I wish I knew the next line.
No. Hello.
Watch Light Down. Lovely book. Casual Convo.
Mary Toft.
Hello, Scott. Great, Scott.
You know, last time I live streamed, I was surprised because Scott wasn't here first. And I was like, I forgot how much later you came in, if it was like 10 minutes or something. And then he came in and I was like, oh my God, I talked about you in the middle of the stream because you weren't there.
Whoa, Mark, your profile picture is different.
It's Fourth Impact's new promotional picture for their album.
Aw, that's awesome.
We keep getting invited to their virtual concert. I keep getting messages and comments on videos. And I was like, we know.
We know it's
We
happening.
know. We do know. We don't speak Tagalog. We are not
all I
Filipina.
know is Mahal Kita.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's it. And any word that also means the same thing in Spanish.
We do not know that. We can't tell you those words.
I'm sure everyone in this room knows Mahal Kita. For obvious reasons.
I don't know why I served myself this.
We're sisters.
I don't even like cake.
And no, we're not.
We're Latina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How am I? You know, it was a very rough day. But I'm here. So hopefully things will brighten up. Bear says hi.
Hi. Hello. Thank you.
But you're having your cake and eating it too.
I regret eating it. Here's the thing. I don't really like cake that much, but I always give it a chance.
This was a good cake.
Especially with chocolate cake. It looked good. I was like, I'm going to eat it.
But I think it was too much that you served yourself.
It was too much.
Yeah.
It was dry. I got the same disappointment I always get. Yeah. So, if you'd like the rest of this, you can have it.
No, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially not now when I'm going to be telling you a story.
That's
anyway.
True. I'm very ready to hear this story. I need to get in the zone. One of my best friends and I, we just watched the movie Say Anything. We both had never seen it before. It was so good. I wasn't expecting to like it this much. It had so much more substance than I expected for an 80s movie. No offense to those of you who lived through the 80s. 80s romance movie, I'll say that. It had a lot more substance. And so interesting. So many things I was not expecting. And I'm walking away from it feeling pretty good. But also I have that I just watched a movie thing right now. Then why eat it? Because I just wanted to see if it looked good. I wanted to give it a chance.
Mark, you got a new car?
Wow. That's fun. What?
I don't know. The way you said that was a lot.
Well, that's exciting. A new car.
The tone.
Wow.
It's real nasally.
Yeah, I think I haven't said things like that before.
Oh, what was the movie title again?
Say Anything.
Say Anything.
With John Cusack. And someone else. I forgot the leading lady's name already. My dad. And then her dad is the dad from Frasier. Yeah.
I was not watching that movie. I don't think I've seen it,
She
actually.
heard me yelling.
I did.
This was
Nadia
so
was
funny.
basically screaming.
There was this one really, really funny moment in it with the pen. Oh my god, it's so funny. Yeah. Ford Ranger Wild Track. I'm gonna look up what that looks like. Hang on. BTS.Big Hit official added to their story. I need to watch that first. Acoustic remix? EDM remix. Ah, interesting.
Oh,
Here, just take this.
Nadia like that, except so much louder. And at the time, I thought my parents were asleep already because the door was closed. And I was like, oh my God, Nadia's screaming at the top of her lungs. I could clearly hear everything she was saying, even though her door was closed.
And yes, Miss Sky. Oh, she did a good job. I was like, for like the first 10 minutes of the movie, I thought she was someone else because she has the same facial structure as the lead actress in Can't Buy Me Love, which is my favorite 80s romance movie. So I was like, wait a minute. But then I was like, oh no, it's a different woman. She's really good. Yeah, no. Me and my friend, we were arguing because like arguably the most famous scene from that movie is when he's holding the boombox outside the house. But that's such like an insignificant part of the movie. It does nothing to advance the plot. We're just like, why doesn't everyone talk about the pen? That is hands down the best aspect of the movie. But anyway.
You literally had a say anything experience in high school.
Oh, really? I don't know why people in America always do what they want to do, even if it's dangerous.
It's limited edition and it is the top of the range.
Wow, I took out my phone because I was going to look up what it looked like. Because I don't know cars. Ford Ranger. Wild.
Rafi, hello.
Hi.
Welcome in.
Ooh, nice, Mark. It's like a truck.
No, it's like a truck. Well, he said Ford, so my immediate thought was trucks.
Oh.
Like,
all I know is Jeep van truck. And I know the Tesla logo. That's it. How did that happen?
Yeah.
Like in the movie.
Anyway.
Yeah. So we are here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to listen to another story that Camille's going to tell me.
Right. However, this time, I'm not going to use a lot of notes. I'm going to do my best to actually just retell it to you.
Oh, nice.
We'll see how that goes. Because when I wrote the notes, it was the same as last time where I picked a case that was like a 40 minutes podcast. And when I was done, I had 10 pages of notes because I typed it. And it was 10 pages. And I was like, wow, this seems like too much for the word casual, you know? So I decided I was just going to do my best and just reference them if I needed something specific.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Oh, you're going to do great. And yes, Dynamite was the boost of serotonin that I needed. I can't stop listening to it. It is everything. And we're doing pretty good because of it.
I've got
Yep.
My phone has been really slow today. Just like freaking out. Oh, whoa. And it lost power really quickly. I'm just realizing because it was at 100 not too long ago. I've got
I was like, you should have kept the brightness at that level.
This picture itself is pretty dark. There we go. There's Jin.
What's up, Jenny?
There's Hobie. All right. So, Mary Toft.
Mary Toft.
Lived in the early 17s.
Okay.
So, the first thing we're going to start with was in 1720. She got married to her husband young because it was 1720. He was 18, she was younger. They didn't specify how much younger, but that's what you did at the time.
Guess there's nothing else
because
to do.
they don't live very long. Anyway. It's death. So she gets married because she has grown up in poverty, and the only way to escape poverty is getting married, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. This was not the case for her. Her husband did not come from a very wealthy family, so they moved in to a small house that was on the property of a landowner, right? So they also worked on those fields of the landowner, etc.
Okay.
Right. They started a family pretty much right away, within the first 2 years of them being married. Their firstborn, Mary, which is the same name, obviously, as her mother, and their secondborn, Anne, which is the same name as her mother-in-law. However, tragedy strikes.
Tragedy.
Anne does not make it to her first birthday.
Oh, Anne.
Mary, the mother, is distraught over this. Obviously. However, they can't miss work, so she kind of just has to, keep going.
Oh.
Yeah. Her field work is backbreaking. A mess.
1700s.
Yes. So, at the time, there was not a lot of ways to escape sort of what you were born into.
Yeah.
And there have been plenty of studies now on what that does to your mind psychologically. Especially, see, this is where I want to refer to my notes, because there was this really good quote by a psychiatrist, and obviously I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, so it is only right that
you get the direct quote.
I get the direct quote from the right person. Yeah. Right. So them living on there, common at the time. However, this led many people to believe that they couldn't fight against their terrible living conditions because the person who was providing their roof over their head was also providing their job. A lot of power struggle. There it is. This was a journalist. Journalist Oliver Berkman covered the psychological effects of poverty for The Guardian. Quote, living with too little imposes huge psychic costs, reducing our mental bandwidth and distorting our decision-making in ways that dig us deeper into a bad situation. Yeah, that's the quote I wanted.
Okay.
Anyway, so despite her possible trauma, Mary tried to build her family as best she could. Some time passed, and she had a son. James. So one day, Mary's working in the field. She sees... She sees a rabbit. Rabbits were delicacies at the time, reserved for richer people and royalty. Which sounds hilarious at this point in time. Anyway, so Mary decides that she's going to chase said rabbit because she was tired of only being sustained by bread and potatoes.
I would like some meat also. A carb diet is not the best.
Yeah. So then a other field worker tries to help her chase down the rabbit. The rabbit is too quick, and they can't catch it. This consumes Mary's thoughts for weeks. All she can think about and dream about is rabbits. Yeah. So then she has a miscarriage. She was pregnant, has a miscarriage. It lasts for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of bleeding and pain.
I'm sorry, I'm not very aware what a miscarriage entails, so I'm kind
I will skip over a
shocked.
lot of the gory details
Yeah,
for you.
thanks.
Just know that
It's late at night.
took a very long time, and during which time she couldn't work, which puts her family in more poverty. Yeah. So then a month goes by. One day, she's in the front yard with her son James, who's playing. And then she doubles over in pain. She screams, and her mother-in-law hears, and her neighbor, something Gil. Mary, her name is also Mary. Her neighbor, Mary Gill.
Come on, I know it's the 1700s, but come on.
All right, so her neighbor, Mary Gill, and her mother-in-law, Anne, come running to Mary Toft. They bring her inside, and her mother-in-law was actually a midwife.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she had seen many births in her time.
Yeah.
Because there's not always a doctor in every area. So she was like the midwife of that area.
Okay.
And Anne says it literally looks like she's going to give birth, which can't be possible because she had just had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
So they sit there with her as she I'm going to read this from my notes. So as the next hour passes, she pushes, passing something large and jagged. She sees her neighbor and mother-in-law's horrified faces before seeing that she had just given birth to some sort of creature. They delivered what appeared to be a dead cat with an eel spine and the liver removed. Though Anne had 12 children of her own and had served as the local midwife, she had never seen something like this before, obviously. Mary, too, seemed surprised and disturbed, but it was literally scientifically impossible for, obviously, her to create this creature. Anyway, so we don't know what Mary's, like, true, thought process was for this moment, because we weren't there.
No one in this time would have been.
And, we just don't know. However, at the time, in the 17s, there was a large business of showing off people with deformities.
Yeah.
Right. So people think this was the beginning. This was the beginning of her idea.
Okay.
Was the idea that she could get herself out of poverty by displaying something strange that she had birthed. So,
I have a question.
Sure.
Do we know if this was an actual she gave birth to a creature, or because it was the 1700s, they just call it that, but it was a human, just like...
No, this was literally a dead cat with a eel spine and the liver removed. So it wasn't human at all.
Okay. Continue.
So, her mother-in-law stays with her while she then, for the next, couple days, births a couple bones. However, at the time, no one saw these ones except Anne, versus the first one, which the neighbor and the mother-in-law saw. Right, okay. So, her husband, Joshua, goes to the next town over that is quite big, or bigger than their town, and finds the local midwife / doctor who had been practicing for 30 years.
Okay.
So he had a name. What is his name? Oh. So, like I said, she felt pressure to provide for her family by whatever means necessary.
Yeah.
Psychiatrist Pamela Cantor found that there is a strong relationship between depression and high-risk behaviors.
Okay.
She lost a child in infancy, and then she had a miscarriage, so she's poor. That's like a lot of things.
Yeah.
A lot of things. There, and a historian named Karen Harvey noted that Mary's grief could have shaped the whole affair. However, any type of psychological theories on Mary are all conjecture, since at the time she was never psychologically studied, being as this was 100 years prior to modern psychology. And at the time, scholars were less concerned with her mental state and more concerned with her biology. Just so you know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously.
So, Joshua, nearby town of Guilford, he sought the help of John Howard, a midwife of 30 years' experience. Joshua showed him the creature. At the time, there was not a lot of research done on the process the female body goes through during childbirth. However, Howard knew enough to be skeptical of the situation. He first dismisses Joshua and says it's a hoax. He's like, no, not real. However, the next morning, curiosity gets the better of him. Yeah. So he heads over to Mary's. He heads over to Mary and Joshua's home. As soon as he arrived, Anne Toft presented several more animal bones that Mary had delivered in the night. No one but Anne witnessed these. Right. So there's a possibility that the bones had never even been inside Mary because of the fact that Anne was the only one there. Howard remained skeptical, but he was not ready to disregard the story, so he just stayed in town the night and the following day returned to the Toft home. Mary was in pain as soon as he got there. And said she felt something else in her womb. Throughout the day, Howard delivered several inexplicable births with his own hands. He removed 3 tabby cat legs, and one rabbit leg from Mary. He'd never seen anything like it, obviously. Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Do you need a break? Do you need me to skip over some births?
How many more are there?
I wanted to make the joke 36 times. I think it's more like 19. I think the total is either like 17 or 19.
Oh my hand!
This is Brian said I just came in the door. This is dark. Okay, so let me skip forward a bit.
Wait. Do we know how this is possible?
What do you mean?
Like, do we know how she was able to do this?
I mean, not.
Oh!
Wait, no. Let me finish. We don't literally know because there is no written thing saying, like, she did this. However, it is most likely that she put them up there or that someone else put them up there for her. Okay. She didn't literally form these.
Okay.
Why would you think?
How would she be able to do another indicator otherwise?
There's no way a person could birth parts of different animals.
That's just what was I supposed to think?
Why are you thinking like the doctors of that time?
Because nothing. It's the 1700s. Anything is possible. I don't know. Maybe evolution was just a little bit behind. I don't know.
No. No.
Okay, that makes it. Ooh, that's why I was freaking out so much. I was like, how is this possible? At first I was thinking that they just like pretended, but then the doctor like saw it too, and I was like, wait.
Okay. So, but yes, the doctor sees this happen and is like, I believe.
Ow.
So he thinks he's on like the cutting edge of some new thing. Maybe. This case is considered like the very marker for the starting of the age of reason.
Okay.
Because of how far this thing went.
Oh my god.
So, let me continue. Nadia's making me more scared than the actual
Oh,
story.
I'm so sorry. This is how I spiral. I'm so-
Okay. So, if you had waited a second,
Okay.
you would have gotten the historian Harvey saying, at the rate she was birthing these animals, she would have had to have help.
Okay.
And Harvey said that this was genuine physical trauma and would it be extremely difficult to execute alone. We don't know who that person or persons were.
Okay.
All right. So, what the heck? Okay. So at the end of the day, Mary finally tells Howard, the doctor, about her dreams and day with the rabbit.
Okay.
And so Howard goes, aha! The newest medical term.
Aha.
He tells her, Howard comes to the conclusion that Mary's births were not supernatural, but a case of maternal impression.
What?
Maternal impression is an outdated theory how a woman's mental state can have effects on the physical development of an unborn child. At the time, when babies were born with deformities, birthmarks, or anything out of the ordinary, it was believed it was the mother's thoughts and emotions that caused these differences. Just 2 years prior to this whole birthing of animals, James Mowbray wrote a manual called The Female Physician, and in it he presents the maternal impression theory.
Okay.
And doctors at the beginning of the Age of Reason clung to this idea because it was an all-encompassing theory for why all these different things happen to babies. So it was like a blanket term that they used. They were like, oh, you thought negatively too much about noses. Now there's a birthmark on its nose. Like that was the thought.
Okay.
Yeah. So Howard, pickles and jars, all the things. And once he tells Mary that oh, it's because of maternal impression, you had the thought about the rabbits. She then begins to only birth rabbits and rabbit things. Yeah. So she changes, because at first she was doing other, any animal part she could get, but now it was only rabbits.
Okay.
Okay. So, Howard brings Mary to his town so he can observe her. And when he brings her to the town, he then writes to higher up London doctors and even the king's secretary. Mary is only in his town for a couple of days while all these London doctors come in to observe her. And the king, King George, sends his own personal surgeon to go observe Mary. Along with his personal surgeon, he sends the Prince of Wales' secretary, I believe.
Okay.
So they observe Mary. The King George's personal surgeon was like, this is amazing. There's no way. I must observe it further. While the Prince of Wales' secretary is like, I don't buy it.
Yeah. I'm not feeling it.
I don't think it's right. So, Mary is then moved another time to London. This is where she is told that she's going to get a royal pension for her time. Because she's being moved and doctors are going to observe her. She is sent to this bathhouse in London where at any moment there's about 10 doctors watching her doing medical exams and all this stuff. So it's very hard for her to get any rabbits into her. So I think at this point, when she was moved to London, she had already birthed like 15 things.
It's just, ow! It's just like the thought of having to like put it there and then take it out is just like
Through labor.
the lengths.
Yeah.
The lengths you have to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Keep telling the story.
Okay. I'm gonna move in because I jumped over a few things here. Okay. She was likely willing to go through all this risk because she had already experienced so much hardship and scarcity in her entire life, and now she saw a way out through national recognition.
Mm-hmm.
The weekly journal known as the British Gazetteer published a story of Mary's bizarre rabbit births. She was the talk of the neighborhood, of all of London, of everyone. Like, it was like a national story. Blah, 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 blah. All right. So,
Hello.
so the king's personal surgeon, right,
Mhm.
dissects one of the rabbits that Mary had given birth to. And he was like, oh, the lungs are smaller than a wild rabbit. So this has to... The lungs are too similar to a fetus. So it's obvious that Mary made it herself. Yeah. So when the surgeon goes back to King George was still like, I don't know if this is true. I'm gonna send someone else. So King George sent a German surgeon whose name I genuinely can't pronounce. His first name, can't pronounce it. His last name is like Ohlers, so I'm going to use that. The moment Mary met Ohlers, she knew he was suspicious. She decided it was not wise to immediately go into labor because it was too similar to all the other doctors that she had encountered. After some introductions and some conversation, Mary had to put an end to it and launched into her like, oh no, pain. But to Mary's disappointment, Ohlers was still skeptical after she gave birth. He took some samples of her rabbit back to like his lab. Ohlers found damning evidence against Mary's claims. Dissection of the rabbit showed that it had partially digested pieces of hay, straw, and corn, none of which were part of Mary's diet. Yeah. Also, the bones and muscles showed signs of clean cuts instead of being torn apart by contractions. To settle the matter, the king once more sent his personal surgeon, along with another doctor, Richard Manningham, to observe Mary. Manningham was a prominent London midwife with a long line of upper-class patients. Mary tried not to panic as another prominent skeptic came, especially since she did not have enough parts to give them when they were there. Anyway, so moved to London. She was moved to London despite the fact that no one has called her out on her bluff. Like, they were all skeptical, but no one has been like, hey, you're lying.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Although she did give birth a few times at the bathhouse, she failed to produce a full creature, possibly because it was hard to get her hands on anything. Doubt was spreading, but Mary was still not deemed a fraud until a porter from the bathhouse was caught trying to sneak a rabbit into Mary's room. Finally, Mary's scam was exposed. The porter, Thomas, confessed that Mary's sister-in-law, Margaret, had put him up to the task of delivering dead rabbits to Mary's room. She requested the smallest rabbits he could get his hands on. Meanwhile, back in the town that the original Dr. Howard was from, the Baron of Oslo decided it was time for his own investigation, since his family's principal home was in that town. He asked around Mary's hometown to try to find some hard evidence that Mary's story was a hoax. Many families in Mary's hometown, under oath, told him that they had sold rabbits to Mary's husband, Joshua. One woman even claimed that the day Mary moved to Howard's town, she sold a rabbit to Joshua, and Joshua said he was on his way there. This was enough for the Baron of Oslau to pass it on to the proper authorities. All right. So the London Justice of the Peace took Mary in for questioning.
Mm-hmm.
When presented with all the evidence, Mary still refused to confess. For 2 days, she stuck to her story.
Wow.
It wasn't until Manningham suggested a painful, invasive operation that Mary had a change of heart. He was like, okay, well, if it's, true, we gotta dissect you.
Mm-hmm.
She confessed to the hoax on December 7th, 1726. She and John Howard were indicted for their con. This was unfortunate for the king's surgeon because 2 days prior, he published his 40-day paper on the rabbit birth phenomenon. In it, he presented several of Mary's claims as fantastic truths. He was humiliated.
Oh.
Mary then Mary then gave several confessions throughout the following days. However, the confessions were all inconsistent. It should be noted that she gave these confessions under the threat of an invasive operation after months of body trauma, anxiety-inducing observation, and then invasive observations, while fighting a painful infection that she was while also fighting a painful infection. So she was probably overwhelmed and physically exhausted.
Yeah, I was wondering where
she did in fact get an infection.
Yeah, I was like, where's because that can't be safe.
Yeah, it's not
at all.
It's not. All right. In each testimony, she gave different cohorts. In one, she claimed a random woman with a meat grinder husband convinced her to go through with this hoax, and that the husband of this random woman provided the animal parts. In another, she claimed Howard helped her put the animals in her. And in her final testimony, she implicated her mother-in-law, Anne Toft, because she said her mother-in-law was forcing her so that they could make a good living.
Okay.
However, the common thread in all of her confessions was that she considered herself the victim, highlighting her pain and suffering in describing her miscarriage. Oh, and in describing her miscarriage, she just said it in detail, proving it had been weighing heavily on her mind.
Okay.
Well, bye, Rafi.
Bye.
Oh, hey, Benjamin. We're telling a very interesting story.
I wish it was sweater weather here.
Me too. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay. So historian Karen Harvey said that the most repeated comments in Toft's confession are pain. There are over 70 mentions of it across 36 pages.
Wow.
Yeah. Mary's statement proved once and for all that the births were fake. However, they took a real physical toll on her.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Just a week after she was brought to London, she was punished by being sent to Bradwell Prison on the banks of the Fleet River on December 9th, 1726. Mary was allegedly put in a public-facing cell so her warders could show her off to onlookers. I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently that happened at some point in history. Despite being proven as a hoax, people still flocked to get a glimpse of her, the notorious rabbit birther. Her story was well circulated, and basically, she was a household name at the time.
Oh my God.
Mary was the subject of copious articles, satirical cartoons, etchings, and even poems.
Wow.
Among them is the famous satire etching of William Hogarth, which shows Mary giving birth surrounded by rabbits and doctors. Mary was painted as a wicked woman but every medic associated with her was considered an imbecile. This included medics who didn't believe her.
Oh.
Yeah. They were considered idiotic for even giving her the time of day. Mary Toft's hoax damaged the reputation of the entire medical profession at the time. Although John Howard was indicted alongside Mary, his charges were dropped, and somehow he was able to recover from the whole ordeal and continue his midwife practice.
Wow.
King George's personal surgeon was not as lucky. He purchased an ad in the paper on December 9th, trying to save face, but it was too late. He lost his position, reputation, and all his patients. He died in poverty.
Oh, that's so sad.
As for Mary, she served for 3 or 4 months in Bradwell before the case fell apart. It determined that she hadn't been in London long enough to receive her royal pension and did not receive any money for her hoax. her charges were dropped. She returned to her family. Yeah, she returned to her family. However, the story was way too interesting for Englanders to forget. The Duke of Richmond had a house near her hometown and often called upon her to show her off to his dinner guests. It wasn't quite the fame she had expected, but it was better than toiling away in obscurity. Mary died on January 13th, 1763, in her early 60s. Thanks to her odd season in the headlines, her obituary was published alongside Statesman. What? Yeah, her peculiar case is often used as the shift from old world superstition to the age of reason. It also served as a reminder of the lengths a poor family would go to alleviate their stresses in the early 18th century. Whatever her actual motives were, Mary Toft took her fate into her own hands and made history.
I'm just... Ooh.
I guess I can join a little.
I'm just in pain.
Mm.
'Cause that's awful to put yourself through.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's a happy ending.
Yeah.
Not for the doctors. I feel bad for them.
The medical community did, because it went into the age of reason.
Yeah.
So, regardless, it further alonged everything. The only person who really suffered was the personal surgeon of the king.
Yeah.
Who, I don't understand how he was the personal surgeon of the king.
Yeah.
And then immediately thought that Mary was telling the truth.
Yeah. That's true.
But he's literally the only one who lost anything.
It's interesting. I'll give it that.
Mm-hmm. And funny that she is considered the marker.
Yeah.
And it was a hoax. It's not even real.
Yeah.
And yet historically, it's considered the marker.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So who knows what's going to be considered the markers for us,
Yeah. It's just like, I'm okay. I'm gonna need to do some serious distracting to get this off my mind so that I may sleep tonight.
It's totally okay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I spoke fast also. I was trying to get good enough information out.
Yeah. Wow, cool story. Yeah. Wild.
I know. Mary Toft.
Keep wanting to say Taft.
True crime is interesting. I saw a TikTok today that was literally if it was a marker. It was to prove that I do in fact listen to a lot, because it was just this girl doing a POV. She was like, POV, I'm at the Cecilic Hotel on something 13th, I forget what, drinking my first glass of water, and then she tastes it. The water is black, and she goes, "Why is it spicy?" They use the "why is it spicy" audio,
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, the girl in the water tower."
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh yeah." Oh, 2013, something 2013. But I was like, I know the hotel. I recognize that date. The water. All of it. Yeah, that was nasty.
That one is awful.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome to ask a question.
I will listen to Dynamite. I will watch the video. Also.
Shania Lover said she was so happy to see you. Shania Lover said they were so happy to see you react to Misty Mountains. I started to read that way too fast.
Thank you. It was wonderful. And I've been getting TikToks, I got a few TikToks on my For You page of people singing it, and I was like, wow, it's nice.
Mm-hmm. How do you get more subscribers? Consistency. And finding your niche. Or finding your place in content creativity.
Yo, Cards teaser though. I can't wait for it. Sorry, I was responding to something else.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what she said on the...
It's gonna be okay.
I know.
She was a strong woman.
Yeah.
And she had, like...
Happened in the 1700s, not even 1700s.
So long ago.
So long ago.
It literally is just consistency and finding your niche.
And patience.
And patience. Patience is good. Because I do not know. I do not know, like, what our markers were anymore. Like, when this happened, when that happened, whatever. All I know is that I have people as markers. So there are people who have been supporting us for a really long time. Like, you know, Mark and Roger, who's not here. Those two are very good examples because they subscribed to us before we even had 1,000 subscribers. And now they're still here. Yeah.
Mark, I don't know if you're still listening, but have you heard the most recent episode of my podcast? Because I did a case that took place in Australia. And I was like, oh, I wonder if Mark knows about this case.
Oh, yeah, I think, didn't you say that towards the end? I think we had already ended the live stream, but the chat was still going. Because I took screenshots of the chat. Shania Lover.
I like Brad Paisley.
Everyone's staying hydrated.
It's so warm in here.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, next casual convo, you're welcome to go.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even know what to tell you. You're the one that listens to.
Well, you don't have to do true crime.
Oh.
Yeah, no, you can do anything. I just did true crime because I like true crime and I know you don't listen to it.
But I don't really have anything that I like that you don't.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
That sound right.
I'm pretty sure that's because, like, the only thing that I can have, like, I would say at least that I could have like a solid conversation on is K-pop,
right?
And you can also. So.
Well, think of it like, or another way we could think of it like, is if you were doing same thing with your podcast with Vanessa, like a topic. Like, even if you wanted to have that kind of conversation.
I'll think about it.
Yeah,
another time.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
I mean, we can get on here at any point and just with all them. So Benjamin was here for a second, and he had you said something about weather. Fall around the corner. We got fall colors out here with sweater weather. The world. However, here in California, we're going through a crazy heat wave.
It's tank top and stay inside weather.
Yeah. We're very lucky, though, because we're Southern California. NorCal has it way worse. And Central California.
They're on
like
fire.
Northern California is on fire, and the winds are all blowing towards Central California. So, like...
We're just humid over here.
Yeah, versus, like, down here in Southern California, everything's just hot and humid.
Yeah, so it's just like you go outside and you're just like, it's... sticky.
Yeah, the air is thick.
Which I hate. I can handle heat.
Yeah.
I cannot handle humidity.
I miss dry heat. We haven't had dry heat this entire time. It's just been humid heat.
Yeah, but then again, then we might be on fire if we had dry heat.
That is true.
Because we are not spared from fires.
Oh, no. Yeah. It is always hot. Yeah, I can't do that. I'm not a big heat person.
It's too cold.
I prefer cold.
For you here.
Yeah.
Let me hold both your hands in the holes of my sweater. Oh. If y'all like The Neighborhood, they put out a new EP and it's pretty good. Nothing top sweater weather.
I got this cute new lamp. It's a selenite crystal. However, I don't know how to make it. Well, that you can tell that that's light. So yeah, it's a selenite crystal. It has a LED that I get to put, and it makes my desk look like a power source when I turn off the lights. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in.
Good luck.
I don't mind cold, but I hate ice. I can honestly say I've never experienced ice. So.
Well, it depends on what you mean by ice.
In a weather sense.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, is it hail or is it like
hail.
Floor?
Hail. Have we really experienced hail?
No.
Just, yeah. Like hail here is just like hard rain. It's not very serious.
The biggest it gets is like the size of a quarter.
Yeah.
On the streets. Yeah, see, we don't get ice on the streets. Well, there are some parts of California that does, but we do not.
Yeah. Maybe in the mountains.
I know, it was easier to learn all the words. Also, Rafi, I see so many TikToks from your country, like just beautiful places, and I'm like, man, all the time. I get them all the time. Oh, but yeah, it's pretty warm in my room. I have a big window, small AC little vents.
She has the hottest room.
I have the hottest room. But it's okay. We're okay.
She also has the biggest room.
I mean, I don't care about that. I didn't choose this room.
I'm just saying.
Adrian chose. Our brother chose. And that's just what ended up happening. Oh. Wow.
What? Huh. When did that happen?
I don't know. Shania Lover, how long ago did that happen? Because I don't believe it's ever happened in my lifetime. I can't imagine. I can't even imagine it.
Last year at my school.
It also would be terrible. People can't even handle driving in the rain here.
Oh no. I'm for the sake of the roads and people's road rage, I'm glad it doesn't snow here.
Yeah, no.
Because, it is already frustrating enough driving in the rain because people are just like, oh my God, water. And it's like, ugh.
Nadia and I got our eyebrows done today.
Yes, by our cousin Kat.
Yeah. It was the first time I had ever done that. And Kat did a really good job. It was pretty painful at some points.
Really?
Yeah, right on this eyebrow. She spent a lot of time at the end. And it was... I saw Aphrodite's eyes in my brain.
She plucked very gently. She approached it very delicately. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Most times it's like, yeah. So, but she did a good job. I paid her for it on behalf of the both of us.
Yeah.
And I told her I'm going to be a regular now because
Mark said he hasn't listened to it yet.
Oh.
Well, Mark, Nadia does a case from your country.
Yeah.
So, pretty cool. Bye, Rafi. I love you too. Purple you. Have a good day. It's like really early morning for you, so have a good day.
Have a good day.
I mean, don't worry too much. We're going to get off pretty soon.
Yeah. But Mark, if you cannot handle graphic content, don't listen to it.
Yeah. Because yours is pretty graphic.
Yeah. And one Vanessa did.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Dahlia.
Yeah. What did you think of Natalie Wood?
Oh, I thought that was so unbelievably annoying.
Yeah.
Like, both Natalie Wood and the Black Dahlia, I was like, obviously, we know who did it. We know. It's just, I was happy that mine was resolved and
Right.
stuff. But, ugh, I was so mad. Yeah. No.
I really like the ones that are unsolved, but like you can't even see a like thing, you know, where it's not obvious at all. You're just left like, how did it even happen? You know,
Oh.
I like those more than, oh my god, it's right there.
Yeah. I don't think I would like that. I mean, maybe if it happened like in a time period where
Well, it does
the
usually.
killer would be dead by now.
Like the axe murder, it
Oh,
does
yeah.
usually, because that's the only time that you could get away with something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's time to end it. I am a little squeamish right now.
And I'm a little tired and warm. I know. Yeah. This wasn't my plan.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for listening to another case with me. I will try to find cases that won't make Nadia squeamish. However, it's true crime, so it's a little difficult. I do have one podcast that I can turn to for this. I just haven't yet. So I will do that. Okay. Just moving some chords here so we're ready here.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day, night, afternoon, wherever. See you soon.